I think we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to call the meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. And I'm going to call out everyone's, for attendance, I'm going to call out everyone's name as they appear on my screen. Maureen Butt, myself, Maria Muti, Anne McGonigal Santos, Teresa Aravena Gonzalez, Jennifer Betcher, Jeremy Little, Sherry Oken, sorry, Kimberly Ring, Nicole Jacob, Elizabeth Asenza, Benny Wheat, Amy Rando, Faith Defendre, and I have a Rick Smith participating as well. All right. Okay, so welcome everyone. We have a full board. Hooray! So excited. So I am ecstatic to have you all here. And before we do our introductions, the chair of the town council, Anne Santos, has joined us. So I'm going to let her say a few words.
Yeah, very brief, because I saw your agenda too, and it was a little scary. I just want to thank you all for sticking with us. This was an interesting process, and with Maria's guidance, and Maureen's input and everyone else that worked on it, I'm so happy that we could add Nicole, Kimberly, Jeremy, and Teresa to the already excellent board that we have. When this was started in 2015, it was as a result of some things happening in town. I think that pales to what's happened since. And I think the need for the HRC is absolutely so critical, especially at this time. So I'm so excited that we have a full board, and I look forward to working with you in the future. And I know we're going to talk about, making sure everything is, I know the mission is tight, but maybe Maria and I have talked about, just making sure that everyone knows where the board stands, so we don't have any more concerns about any issues with process and procedure, although I had no concerns, which is why 4 of you are now sitting here. So I could not be happier to welcome you to serving this wonderful town. I am going to prepare my midterm that I'm giving tomorrow, so I need to jump off so my students get a decent midterm. And I thank you all for letting me chat, and really look forward to working with you and seeing all the wonderful things you do. Thank you so much. Take care, all.
Great. Okay, so let's move right to introductions. So I'll have everyone one at a time. I'll again, if you don't mind, I'll call you out as you appear on my screen. If you could give your name and pronouns, your job, and a fun fact about you. And yes, that's it. Sorry. All right, Maureen, do you mind starting us off?
Not at all. I haven't done a fun fact in a while. Maureen Budd, she, her, hers. I am a Wakefield town councilor. I'm also the liaison from the town council. Super excited to have the new members, and as always to see, or have the new members, and as always to see the old members, older, more established members here. Fun fact. That's a hard one. I'm the eldest of 3, and all the stereotypes of being the eldest, I fit all those stereotypes.
All right, Teresa.
Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Teresa. I am she and her. Fun fact about me. Oh, geez. I moved here when I was 12. And I've been in Wakefield 7 years. I think that's, I don't know. I don't think I was ever expected to be in this role today. So I'm very excited.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Jen.
I'm Jen Betcher, she, her. Did you ask about job?
Oh, yes.
Like my day job is, I'm a senior instructional design specialist, which basically means I write training programs in e-learnings, mostly for other people to deliver or for people to take on their own. And I, fun fact, I tap dance.
Fantastic. Jeremy.
Unmute Jeremy. Oh,
yeah, I unmuted. So,
okay.
Jeremy Little, he, him.
I am a card-carrying PhD organic chemist who works in the field of oligonucleotides. So I make synthetic oligonucleotides for a variety of research, drugs, that kind of stuff over in Wilmington. And fun fact, Tom Brady followed me here from Michigan. So he and I overlapped at Michigan. I came here for a job and he came here for the Patriots, but I have no desire to go to Tampa Bay. So.
Great, thanks, Jeremy. Sherry.
Sherry Oken. I've lived here in Wakefield for the past 18 some odd years. Love it, love this town. I even moved my business here. I manage trade associations. I have a company that's an external management company for membership-based groups that have all volunteers and boards of directors that have full-time jobs, and the business of their associations have to be managed. Fun fact, I am a 100% born and bred person from Brooklyn. Not one of the newbies who say they're from Brooklyn because it's so cool now, but I actually grew up there and went all through school there.
Wonderful. We're glad to have you here from Brooklyn. Kim.
Hi, my name is Kim Ring Allen. Allen is my married name. It's not my legal name, but I carry both. I'm she, her. I grew up in Wakefield. I've lived here since '79. I actually bought the house I grew up in. So, I mean, you don't really get much more towny than me. I graduated Wakefield High, went to the Walton School. I have two jobs. I run a business during the day, a marketing firm. And at night, I'm a professor at Suffolk. So I teach Monday, Tuesday, well, it changes all the time, but I teach mobile marketing, social media marketing, digital marketing, principles of marketing. I teach tonight. I have them watching a video right now. So at 8 o'clock, I might have to pop out. Fun fact about me, I think I mean, I'm not, you know, I have to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure I was one of the first girls to play Little League in Wakefield. So that's kind of cool.
Fantastic. All right, thanks. Nicole.
Hi, I'm Nicole Jacob, she, her. I work for the North Suburban Child and Family Resource Network as a parent educator here in Wakefield. A fun fact is my husband used to work for Michelle Obama, and I nixed him from our wedding day reception, and I can never live it down. We had too many people, so they got that.
Wow. That is a fun fact. Elizabeth.
I'm Elizabeth Asenza. I use she, her pronouns. I am the minister at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Wakefield. And my fun fact is that I have been a Girl Scout for 34 years.
Wow, fantastic. Thanks.
I might have to tap into you for my daughter's brownie troop stuff.
Okay.
I used to be a professional Girl Scout. I'm done with that.
Benny, go ahead.
Let's see. My name is Benny. I go by she, her, and hers. I am a social worker. I work for a small nonprofit in Cambridge that runs a day center for homeless women and non-binary people. Fun fact, I put myself through graduate school when I was getting my master's of social work by doing construction. That's it.
That's great, Penny. I never knew that. Amy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Rando, currently a police officer with the Wakefield Police. And I have to mention I'm a graduate of Suffolk, graduated in 2006. I heard there's a professor there, love Suffolk. And she, her, hers, identify as, however I get called sir. I wouldn't say daily, but weekly, so you can call me whatever. I take no offense. And fun fact, I worked at Cravings Ice Cream all through high school and college for 8 glorious years.
Great. Thanks, Amy. Faith, go ahead.
Hi, mine is she and hers and hers. I am the student member of the Human Rights Commission, and I'm a senior at Wakefield High. A fun fact about me is I'm the second oldest of 6 kids, and one on the way, so actually 7.
Amazing. Thanks, Faith. Colleen.
Hi, everyone. Colleen Guida, she, hers. I am a member of the school committee and almost newly appointed, just waiting for that next meeting, liaison to your commission. I thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm excited to join you every month. Fun fact, recent fun fact, I just learned more than I ever wanted to know about the main drain system in your house. So I have like, from like the top floor down out to the street, a video of like 70 feet all the way out to the main drain. And it was fascinating, I'll have to say. So I feel like that's maybe some career path that I should go down. In terms of job, I am back to owning my own real estate title examination business. I took a little hiatus and did something different in Boston for a while, but COVID has brought me back to real estate title examination. So that is what I'm doing now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And myself, Maria Muti, she, her, hers. I'm an immigration lawyer by training, and I work for the Office of Immigration Affairs for the city of Somerville. And fun fact about me, I play the cello in the Melrose Symphony. We are on hiatus right now, but yeah, still trying to practice, not finding a whole lot of time to do that, but trying. All right. All right, so moving down the agenda, do we have any member of the public that would like to be heard? All right, hearing nothing. So looking at the minutes from last month, I know some edits had already been made in terms of the date, and there were a couple other things. Did anyone else have any other edits to the minutes?
I wanted to ask a quick question. So Jen had sent me some edits involving the list of who's present. And I just wanted to check on what's the best way to do this. So I can't remember what I had been doing. I had been having a list of the commissioners and then a list of participants from the public, if any. And Jen mentioned that it could make sense. And I think that previous secretaries have done it where people's, especially for non-voting members, have had sort of like some indication of that. So like Marion Butt, town council liaison or something like that. Or, you know, if any of our ex officio members were to be attending or things like that, having sort of that mentioned to make it clear who's a voting member and who's not. Is that something I should be doing? Or are there other ways that I should be organizing the list of attendees?
Yeah, actually, I think that would be helpful to distinguish the voting from the non-voting members. So yeah, if you want to do that going forward, that would be helpful.
Okay, so I'm not going to actually write voting member and non-voting member, but I'll just put those like indicators. Yeah.
Right. Sherry, go ahead.
This is a best practice in taking minutes, that you identify people by groupings, who they represent. And I know I do it with my nonprofits all the time, who are the actual board members because they're the voting members, who is there by invitation, who has a special guest, and so on. So it would be very helpful.
So should I also then indicate each person who's an appointed member of the board, like have their, and like, should I be indicating, for example, Elizabeth is our like member from the clergy, like, should I be doing these things?
No, what I do is I do present, and present means those people who are required to be here. Absent, those people who are required but are not here, and then the others. And that would help distinguish it.
Does that make sense?
So present for those who are required to be here and who are at the meeting, absent for those required who are unavailable that particular evening. And then after that, you can have the general public, liaison to other community boards, you know, or whatever else kind of designation you want to give them as a group.
So, okay, so then by that reasoning, like Maureen and Yana would be on a separate list from the rest of us.
Because they're liaisons.
Right.
Not non-voting liaisons, yeah.
So that's the better way to organize it?
Yeah. I think it would be make it very clear for whoever reads the minutes from the outside. I don't know who reads these minutes other than us, but whoever does from the outside, they would see what kind of representation we had at that meeting. I know, Maria, does that make sense to you as well? That
yes, I think so.
And it helps us keep a good record of who the voting members are who were actually there. So when you say, you know, everyone voted in favor, you know who the everyone is because you know who the absent people were.
Right. All right.
And okay, so if we're saying that under absent go only the people who are required to be here, like who's required to be here? Because in our previous notes, Jen sent me an example of some previous notes and it says absent, you know, Superintendent Doug Lyons ex officio. Is he like required to be at our meetings and he's absent? No, he's just like a person who's invited, but he doesn't usually come. So should I just forget about that and not mark that down?
I would say, let me see. Yeah, for the absent, you could, I would include even though they're non-voting members, I would still include the ex officios who are not in attendance. So ex officios and then voting members of the HRC who are not in attendance. Mm-hmm. List those under absent, and then for, yeah, have us, like Sherry said.
She doesn't need to list liaisons as absent.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other edits that anyone had? Okay. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Sherry? Okay.
I read Sherry's lips. She said she moved.
I motion to approve them.
Okay. And do I have a second?
Sorry, it's been a long day.
Okay. Second from Jen. And Maureen, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the members who were not at last month's meeting can't vote on the minutes. Is that correct? Okay.
They just abstain from this vote.
Okay, so I'll take a roll call of the members who were present last month. Jen?
Aye.
Sherry?
Aye. Unmuted.
Benny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
And Faith?
Aye.
Thank you. So that passes. All right. For the new member orientation. So this is still something that's being worked on. Thank you to Jen and Sherry. Do you want to kind of fill us in on, do you have a sense of your timeline? And if you don't, that's okay. But
timeline should be, it should be done within the next 2 weeks because we have all of these new members. And I did have wonderful input from Steve Mayo, and he sent me actually a slideshow history of the early WHRC when it was being proposed. So I do have that information now. Some of you know I've had some health issues, and so I couldn't do much the last month, but in the next 2 weeks, I think that we will be able to arrange to have. Does the board need to approve the whole script before we actually invite our new members to come to this?
I mean, we've looked at it. Yeah, we probably should. Okay. So why don't we plan to, unless things get thrown off schedule wise, why don't we plan to review it, send it out. You can send it out to us when that
okay.
Final, and then you can send it out to us and we can review it before next month's meeting. Jen, go ahead.
I'm just feeling like this is really weird to say like, hey, new members, look at our script and make sure it's okay before we actually deliver you an orientation.
Right, right.
So can we pilot it and then we can all approve it and say, this is what we want it to be go forward?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
We can, our new members could be the guinea pigs.
Our pilot group of our orientation.
And I did have another request, because at the last meeting, it was in the minutes, we requested that if you have photos that would be better than the graphics we have, and I haven't received any. So please go look through your photos, especially someone said they wanted to have the flag raising for in June, for Pride Month, and anything else you might have, graphics or photos you think that would be better than what you saw the last time, because we want to have something that's colorful, entertaining, and educational for our new members. Okay. And I will say to the new members, I'm so glad to see you. I was a new member last May, and I didn't have any orientation. So one of the first things I suggested as a loudmouth was that we should have an orientation. So I volunteered, and Jen offered to help me, and we've been working together on that. So.
Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, can I just ask a question? Is the new orientation also something that can be used as an informational packet to those who aren't on the commission but might want to learn about it? Is it geared that way, or is it more just for us new members? Do you know what I mean?
It's pretty audience specific, but we could take parts of it out and use it, because it's pretty comprehensive as well. The slideshow is arranged as questions. The answers are not on the slideshow. That's the spoken script, and that's what we're working on. And also putting more graphics that are even more interesting onto the slideshow. But there's also been an idea floated, and I hope it goes through, that we will have an archivist. So each year we maintain, first of all, we have to gather records from the last 5 years, but we maintain a record of that year's activities so we don't lose it for the given year as well.
All right. Benny, go ahead.
I also am wondering if, I know what you're saying, Sherry, about having the answers to the questions be the spoken part, but for a reference document, what, because say you don't retain all the information that you hear during your orientation, will there be a reference document that people can look back at to see those answers?
Oh, yes, there's a written script that we can share.
Oh yeah, so everyone will receive that.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, they can receive the written script as well. Plus they get that very comprehensive, well, it's not that comprehensive actually, the policies and procedures document, the open meeting laws document, accompanies all of this as well. And then you go through that very long training session, and that provides a lot of information.
Go ahead, Mary.
So just to answer Jeremy's question, just to as someone who served on councils and committees, and I'm looking at Colleen, normally when you serve, and thank you all for serving again, I'm just going to keep on repeating that, you don't get a handbook. You actually just show up at the meeting and you're like, this is what it is. And one day. And so what the HRC did, and we got a preview last month, is really come up with this great presentation that Jen and Sherry have worked on to give you the history. The HRC is kind of a 5-year-old organization. We've got a great, the HRC has a great social media presence. And so for people who were born and bred in Wakefield or just moved here 17 years ago, or I just realized it's my 7th-year anniversary in Wakefield in October. So whatever time you can kind of follow us on social media. But we were sitting there remembering all these little things that HRC has done that aren't documented anywhere. We don't have and so this, I'm hopeful that this would be something, if there's a way, Jen and Sherry, maybe you guys can make it, that's something, we had talked about as a 5-year anniversary of all that's been accomplished to be shared. So I think that's a great idea, Jeremy. It wasn't the intention, but I think that's something that if we can make something to share, that would be great.
Yeah. Thank you.
It would be part of our archives.
Yes, and I will have more on that. Actually, yeah. Just very briefly, I have been in touch with Steve Mayo and with the IT department, and as well as Tom Mullen, the town council SEL, the lawyer for the town. And everyone said it's totally fine for us to have a central electronic storage spot, and IT is working with us. We're at the very beginning of the process of creating something where we can archive our 5 years of event programs and attendance lists at different events and all sorts of documents that we can keep in a central place. Because for all of the new members, we've all just kind of had it in our own Google Drives, in our own emails, and we've traded and we've shared them as they've come up each time. But if we're planning the MLK Day for this year and we're trying to look back at what we did in 2017, it's been like trying to track it down has been difficult. So yes, we are. That process is starting. So,
and it will also include things like vendors we've used and SKU numbers, so if we won't need to order the same thing again.
Yep.
So that we're not constantly just. I mean, like I said, I do this for a living, so the kind of thing organizing. So that's my contribution. I might not have the depth of knowledge of possible speakers for programs, but I certainly know about organizations. So.
Right.
And it would be very helpful. It would have been helpful to me as a new member because I was wondering, what should I be doing?
Yep. So yes, we will, as I get more information about that, I will be sharing it with everyone. But like I said, we're still at the very beginning of the process, so I'll have updates as they come. So, but yeah, going back to the training, Jen, I like your idea of the newest members, if you don't mind, being kind of the pilot reviewers. And then if we can finalize and possibly schedule the training before next month's meeting, and then we can get feedback from all the new members, then we can vote on it as kind of the official orientation going forward. Does that make sense? Okay, Sherry, you're muted.
And we'll invite everybody to come to the orientation, whether they're a new member or not, so they can all weigh in.
Yep, that sounds good. All right, so we will go with that plan. All right, for our anti-racism action updates, who would like to give us an update on Indigenous Peoples Day?
Benny, do you want to?
Sure. Sorry, I was just transitioning from one thing to another in my notes. So, Indigenous Peoples Day. Maureen and I knocked our heads together and planned out a little event that we could, that was manageable enough to do within the couple of weeks that we had to plan it. And what we ended up doing was Faith and Yana and I did read alouds of children's books that are written and illustrated by Indigenous authors and illustrators, and posted those to our Facebook page. With the plan then, we actually bought more books than what we read. We bought 8 books, and the plan is to donate those 2 each to the elementary schools in town. So I have this like stack of all these awesome children's books written by Indigenous authors sitting in my house now. So that was pretty cool. I don't know, Faith, do you want to share at all about is Faith here? Where'd she go?
I think she might have dropped off.
She dropped off.
Oh, that's too bad.
It wasn't a great connection.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
awesome. You all did awesome.
Yeah, the videos were great. And the books that we chose kind of highlighted the connection between Indigenous histories, but also present day life, about contemporary life, and also how it's related to, history and culture of Indigenous peoples. So that was cool. That's my update. I don't know. Do you want to add anything, Maureen?
Go ahead, Nicole.
I was going to say, I thought it was really good too, and I was able to share it to our programs page, and it got some traction. People were watching it. The little kids that are in our program that are stuck at home. We've been posting a lot of live story reads, and so I was really grateful to see that one.
Awesome.
So
that's great. Yeah, I shared them all to the Wakefield Moms page, and I feel like I got more comments there than it did on our page, but all good responses.
Benny's got a talent. She's if you haven't watched the videos, they're all great, so watch them. I will say I learned a lot during this process, and that I think for next year will make it easier. But we partnered, we kind of did some back and forth with the library, and hopefully next year when we're in person again, we can think about some coordinated activities with them. And also the Wakefield Historical Society, who is just looking into. So I felt like those were good relationships that Benny kind of created for us to use in the future. And then also, there's one other thing I was going to say, but I thought it was great. And I think I'm really excited about donating the book. So I think it'll be it was awesome. And yeah, that's it.
One other thing that I'll add is, so my sister-in-law is a librarian, so I get an earful about this stuff all the time. And so I had it on my radar that you can't really just like read books randomly on the internet without permission from the publisher, which is a thing we have maybe or maybe not done in the past. Who's to say? So we did the one wrinkle in the process, which didn't end up being a wrinkle, but like added like some steps to the process, was securing permission from the publishers. So definitely one lesson I learned was, in doing an event like this in the future, definitely leave extra lead time, because the last permission came in like 2 days before the event. You know, I was kind of like, what's going to happen? So leave a little extra lead time. Right now, especially, it was really easy because so many publishing houses have made like blanket permissions, like as long as you follow these steps, you're allowed to use the material in these kinds of ways. So that was nice. In the future, when we're not in COVID anymore, I don't know if that will make it harder to get the permissions or different, but one additional series of steps to keep in mind for future events.
Benny, is that just because it's read electronic, like published on the internets? or like, I'm thinking 2 years ago for Pride, we did like a read aloud with anyway, they're not here anymore, but a different children's group, and we didn't. I think we definitely did for got permission from when we've done it electronically, like live videos or posted videos. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't sure if that's like
I think
a live reading thing or just
live,
a recorded one.
Yeah, I don't think if it's live, you have to get permissions for that kind of thing. Like every teacher in America doesn't have to get permission every time they read a story in their classroom. But I think if it's through the internet, even if it's not recorded, I think if you're reading it as like a Facebook Live event, you still have to get permission if it's like, I guess, being broadcast. So.
Yeah, it's copyright law, any book, any article, any piece of music.
I have a question. I didn't hear anything. I don't ever look at Facebook, I have to be honest. But so I have a question. How is this promoted? Because I thought I was on the email list for the WHRC, and I never received any information.
Yeah, it was only over Facebook, basically.
And through the PTOs. So I contacted the elementary school PTOs, and they hopefully sent it to their mailing lists, or at least posted it on their social medias. I know, like, my kids go to the Woodville, and it was sent out in the PTO newsletter.
And on our Facebook, on our webpage through the town, they have, there's a connection to our Facebook page. So I think, I've never actually connected through the town. I believe even if you're not on Facebook, you can still watch the videos. So you don't, so you can just go connect through, through our page, our webpage through the town.
I'm just going to have to friend the group. I mean, I have a Facebook page. It's just pictures of my grandchildren. That's the only people on my Facebook page. So I will friend the Facebook page, because that's part of my responsibility, I think, too.
Yep. And we are going to have a broader conversation. I know we had talked in the past about a broader social media presence, and we kind of put that on a shelf until we had a full board again. So we will be talking about that again in the future. So Jeremy, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to back, you know, our church went through this whole copyright thing, but the minister, you know, we had to get a whole copyright license voted in this year to cover all our hymns and things. And it's all because of the Zoom Facebook Live and this kind of thing. So actually, I think in a church you need it anyway for a lot of the hymns and things. But I'm sure, to Jennifer's question, it's truly the social, the electronic aspect of it, and that you're broadcasting it out to everyone, not just whoever's in the room with you at that single point. And it's also able to be recorded and re-released and shared, even if you don't know they're doing it. So I'm pretty sure that's what it's for. So I did have a question though, if the town has any sort of copyright license laws that, or licenses that they share amongst all the committees, or is that something that's never been an issue because you've never been so, virtual before either? So.
Yeah, I don't think it's something we thought about. And I read a book on my Facebook page in June for Ramadan and did not get permission to do it. So was not aware. And now we know, and I know the public safety officers were doing read a book, a children's book early on in the pandemic. I don't know if you necessarily got permission from the publisher. So it's not something we were aware of in this new virtual world, though. It's something maybe I'll ask Steve about it. Jeremy, that's a good idea. Although I will say Benny and I talked and she sent out emails, and the next day for almost, for 2 of the books got a response, like again in this virtual world. And the librarian were the ones who told us how to do it because they've been doing it since March. So it hasn't been a problem yet. But I do think if we want to do it again before Pride, we should think about which holiday we want to do and just pick the books now. Because there was a chance one of Benny's favorite books we weren't going to get permission to read, and heartbreaker, but we got it in.
Great. All right. Okay, thank you for the updates. I did get a text just now from Faith, and she said the power went out in her building. So she apologizes that she wasn't able to come back on. And regarding the next agenda update for Black Student Union,
I have one more question actually about Indigenous Peoples Day thing before we move on, which is, how do I go about donating these books? Like, who do I contact, or what is the process for that kind of thing? Any feedback on that?
I would say maybe either the principals or the PTO presidents.
Say again, who, the PTO and who?
Either the PTO presidents or the principals of each of the 4 elementary schools.
Okay.
If you want, Benny, we can talk about this offline, but because I emailed all the PTOs about the event, and hopefully they publish, I know at least 2 of them did definitely publish them because they followed back up with me. But that might be, and then I could kind of reply all and say, after this event, we have 2 books we'd like to donate. So I could try doing that, or forwarding that to you so you have all their contacts if you want to do it that way. Maria, you said it, I would almost wonder if it would be more the principal than the PTO presidents, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. And are the principals like contact info available somewhere?
On the Wakefield Public Schools website.
Like a directory.
Yep.
I might have that all, Benny, too, because we reached out to all of them for MLK Day. So I think I have a spreadsheet with all their names and emails on it.
Yeah, you can send it to me. That would be great.
Okay.
Or I can probably find it.
Okay.
We'll see who wins the race.
Oh boy. All right.
One
challenge
thing I know is the Walton school principal is new as of last month. So whoever's Elena Byrne is the previous principal, it's now Brian Schmidt. So that's one name that would be different on the spreadsheet. So, okay. Any other questions about that?
I was just, Benny, do you, or Maria, do you think that you might be interested in doing some sort of a small presentation to the schools? Or I was just thinking that might be a nice way to bring some attention to the HRC, sort of, and it can, it's over Zoom, so it won't impact time so much. But I just think it might, you're making a significant contribution for the elementaries. And I think it might be nice to just mention it and acknowledge that, if that's something you're interested in.
What do you think, Benny?
I think it's a cool idea. I personally feel like awkward about it because I'm so disconnected from the school system. Like I don't know I don't have any kids in the schools, you know? So it's kind of like, hey, stranger, like have a book. But maybe I should just get over that.
Yeah, we can help you get over that.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with you, Benny. I'm up here with you.
Not scary people. Yeah, I mean, we can even ask a student to be present. You know, I mean, Zoom allows us a lot of options to be able to do that. It just any positive attention, I think, is really important right now. Just thinking, moving forward from last week, I think it's important for people to understand the work that you do, and that's a school thing. So if we can do that and help you in that way.
I think that's a great idea. Can I ask you, Colleen, would that be presenting at school committee meeting, or is that like a separate meeting that would be set up with like the principals or something?
Well, usually our gifts are presented at school committee, gifts that are presented to the district. They also are presented to individual schools, you know, and there's a sort of a process that goes through, but I'll talk to Christine Bufagna. It's not like a formal formal gift where we have to accept it. I don't think it is anyway, because a lot of people donate books to elementary schools. But sort of just a recognition, but the gifts are usually part of our business and under the business agenda in our meeting, any gifts. So I was just thinking it might be appropriate, but if you're interested, I'll just ask Christine and Doug or Kara if that's something that we can do.
Yeah, if you could find out like where's the most like relevant or appropriate or best venue to do it, that would be great.
I suggest that maybe you put in a faceplate sticker inside the book that says a gift from the Wakefield Human Rights Commission.
Yes.
I can make you a whole sheet of things with the logo on it if you'd like, in color, because my color printer's working again. So
I love that plan, and we can talk about this later. But Marion and I had started to like, dream big about having similar events like these in the future, for different, for whatever, like Latinx History Month, which is also happening right now, and other things. So having kind of like a series of these events during the school year and donating the books. And so if we have donated by whatever stickers, that would be cool.
Yeah, or a gift from, even a nicer way to say it.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Colleen. Kim, go ahead.
Wouldn't be a bad idea too, if you're going to do that, we could draft up, this is the publicist in me, I'm sorry, we could draft something up and send it over to the papers and things, so that the more even blogs, maybe putting it on your own blog or even on Facebook will push the good stuff up, and then on the search engines push the bad stuff pages away. And I'm a great writer, so I'm happy to write blog posts or anything like that.
All right.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to have that sort of recap, and the gift, and Sherry's written some stuff for us too. We've definitely put stuff in the paper before, but yes, I think we should plan for it.
Okay.
Maria, I love this idea, and I love going in front of school committee, and something you and I had talked about was that annually, usually the HRC does come in front of at least the town council, and it's been a while since the school committee, but that's something, to do that all at once too, is at the school committee when you have those gifts to give, because we'd originally thought about giving gifts to the library, but the library's actually got a great collection of books, and so we thought the schools would benefit more, but it's getting busier at the end of the year, but it looks like virtual meetings are here to stay. So maybe January, trying to get on the schedule of town council or school committee to kind of say, year in review, and all these great projects is also, and then amplifying that with a press release or a blog. I love when people offer to write things.
Yes. All right, fantastic.
Can I just clarify? Sorry. Are we talking about two different things? So January seems far off for me to donate the Indigenous Peoples Day stuff. So we're saying, let's do one thing for that and then a year in review kind of thing later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You could, if you wanted to, if this is going to be a regular thing, which it sounds like it is, which is awesome, you could almost wrap it into like a campaign, like a multicultural like reading campaign, where you're going to say, we're going to do this throughout the year. Every time we have a special reading, we're going to donate books to the local schools to kind of coincide with what we're doing. Then it kind of makes it a bigger story too, with a bunch of mini stories in it.
I love that. I love it.
It's very good to have a social media guru on board. We need that.
This is what I
more voices. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah, various ones of us dabble, but not to the extent of knowledge and expertise you have.
All right. So yeah, I wanting to be cognizant of people's time. I like the idea of having a broader discussion about this, about it, like it being a year-round campaign. So let's talk more about that. And then in the meantime, I will connect with Colleen about appearing at the school committee. And then we'll talk about kind of when would be the best time for some sort of write-up in the paper, whether it's with our appearance or closer to when we appear, maybe in January, for the annual report. So, all right, thanks for all the ideas, everyone. This is great. Okay, moving down the agenda for the Black Student Union, not a whole lot to report. Faith was going to kind of give us the update as to their most recent meeting. And she just said she talked to her advisors. They are interested in collaborating with the Human Rights Commission. And to start it, I'm gonna reach out to them. So once I do that, then next month, Faith and I can report back to everyone and let you all know kind of where things stand in terms of our progress. One thing that has been obviously frustrating is because of COVID, we've been limited in terms of what we can do as kind of a public show of support. And so just kind of keep it in the back of your minds as we hear more from the Black Student Union, what kind of shows of support would be helpful for them. And if we can't do, a rally, obviously we can't do a rally with a lot of people, but what other ways can we show our support and our belief in racial justice? So when I meet with them, I will have more to report back on, and Faith will as well for next month, but just to kind of start thinking about that. And let me see, I just want to see if there's anything else that she said. Oh, and she also said, thank you so much for including her in the Indigenous People Day celebration. So, all right.
I just put something in chat to add to this discussion. To everyone.
Oh, okay, thank you. May is Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. Yep. Thank you, Sherry.
Yep, Black History Month before that too.
Right. For the Youth Council update, so Jana Herzog is the liaison to the Youth Council, and she's not here tonight. So, so we'll shelve that until next month. I usually have her and Faith give updates on the groups that they are involved with. In terms of the library collaboration, Sherry, is there any other updates or anything like that?
I shared with all of you what they sent to me on the programs that are going on right now, many of which are right in the middle of the business day, which is a little difficult for those of us who work, but they have an excellent, this month is Commitment to Community Month. It's a 3-prong grant approach to programming at the library, and it's all going to be virtual. And I just keep on reiterating with them that please make sure you call us in when you need our help on any part of this multi-part program. But the first part's starting shortly, like almost, I think, maybe this week.
It looks like the first one is October 28th.
Okay,
according to the
yes, next week, yes. And like I said, I sent it to Sherry Dalton so it could be shared with the whole commission so you can see what the first part of the program is.
All right, thank you, Sherry. So next on the agenda is the active bystander training with Quabbin mediation. So I did speak with, I had two conversations. I spoke with, unrelated to my position with the City of Somerville. The City of Somerville did do an active bystander training with this same organization. And I spoke with someone who was part of the training, and she said she was really impressed with the amount of information that they were able to pack in a 2-hour span of time. And I also had a conversation, I can kind of go back to that in a second, but I did also have a conversation with Quabbin mediation about some of the concerns. And just to back up a little bit, to fill in some of the new members, one of our actions, our anti-racism actions, was to potentially have an active bystander training. And this group will come in and do a 2-hour training session over Zoom. They can accommodate up to 20 people. And it would be, it's basically helping people, training people to know when and if to intervene in a situation where they see that someone is potentially going to be harmed. And when I spoke with her a couple days ago to just follow up on some of the questions that we had, because a question came up as to whether or not this was specific to incidents of racism, or if it was a broader, like if you see someone being bullied, if someone is, if it's a sexual harassment, something like that. And she said it really is a very broad approach. It is not specific just to incidents of racism. And she said the most important thing that they talk to people about is analyzing the situation and figuring out, first of all, if it's safe for the potential victim for you to intervene, and if it's safe for you to intervene, and also respecting that it might just be a matter of saying, is everything okay here? And if the person that you think is the subject of harm is being targeted, if they say everything's fine, and they are clear that they do not want your help, that it's your job to kind of observe, but not intervene in a way that they are indicating that they don't want you to. So it definitely seemed to be a carefully considered intervention, and the importance of realizing when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate. It's also, another thing that she talked about was recognizing our own inhibitions that make people hesitate to intervene when they think that they're not, if they're not sure if they should. And this could be over, whether it's in person, it could be over social media, it could be over a telephone call, in any kind of situation. So she did have a lot, she had a lot of great information that seemed, I don't know, that felt reassuring to me. So I'm happy to answer any questions that people might have, or if we want to vote on it. I'll see.
So you're saying that we would, as a body, have this training?
We would offer it. I think the thinking was we would pay for it, and we would open it up to the town, to members of the town to take part in, for anyone interested. And if it seemed like there was a great deal of interest, and we were going to have, if more than 20 people signed up, like on the first day or something like that, we could sign up potentially for a second training. So a second separate training to be offered for another 20 people, but certainly members of the HRC could absolutely take part in it.
And again, remind me of the cost.
The cost is $400 for an initial session for a training of 20 people. So yeah, and they have done them with a number of other communities. They just did one in Somerville. They have 3 lined up with the Human Rights Commission in Lexington. They did 7, they've done 7 trainings since mid-July with other with other communities in the surrounding area. Let me see. And then I know WAVE did it a couple years ago. Amy, did you have any other information after our last meeting, after talking with some of the WAVE members?
Yeah, I had spoken to co-president Mary Eldridge, and she and 2 other members had attended a training, but WAVE didn't sponsor a training, but she spoke very highly of it.
Okay, thanks.
Has there been any law enforcement input into this training?
Not that I am aware of. No. And I did also ask her about about kind of if any concerns have been raised in terms of participants, white people who are participants, about whether or not there's like the white savior issue. And she said that comes up all the time, that people are very aware of it and they do take that into account and they talk about that. And that's really where she talked about, you know, approaching the person who may be targeting. And if they don't want, for like, she used the example of, do you want me to call 911? If that person says, no, I do not want you, then respecting that and backing away. And so she's very much, it sounds like they are very much aware of that potential furtherance of harm that could take place, and they take that into account. All right. Go ahead, Kim.
I'm so sorry, everybody. I have to jump off. I have my class waiting.
Oh, yeah.
Their video is about to end, so they're going to start sniffing around to figure out where I am in a second. So I apologize for that. I didn't have enough time to plan so much, but I promise going forward, you'll have my complete and full attention.
It's all good. Thank you.
We're excited to have you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Have a good night. All right. So are people comfortable voting on this now, or do you want to take some more time to think it over?
I'd love to participate, so I'm ready to vote, depending on when it happens, of course.
Yeah. So do we have a motion then to reserve this training with the intention of offering it to the town, and at least starting with one training, and if there is a great amount of interest, then going up to 2.
I have one suggestion, that we offer this in a month that we don't have something else that's a major event planned.
Yeah, I think
it becomes part of our schedule for the year.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think they're booking a little ways out, a few months out anyway. At least that was the case the last time I talked to her. When I talked to her a couple days ago, they had booked other ones, so I would assume it's not until the new year anyway. And so I can circle back once I talk with her again and let people know. But yeah.
Like I'm thinking we don't have anything really on our calendar for April. Am I not mistaken? There's no special events usually we offer in April.
Great. Okay. So yeah, I can talk with her about that. All right. So do I have a motion to reserve the training then?
I will make a motion to reserve the training.
And do I have a second? Cool. Thank you. So I'll call everyone as they appear on my screen. If any of the new members haven't been sworn in yet, then just let us know, because you can't vote until you're sworn in yet. So starting with Teresa.
Yep.
Okay. Jen?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
All right. Sherry?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
I don't think I know what swearing in is,
Oh.
so that sounds like me.
Okay. Okay. I will circle back with you after the meeting. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay. All right. Benny?
Yes.
All right. Amy?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And I think that's everyone. Great. All right, so that passes. I will get in touch with them and I'll send out information once I speak with her. Elizabeth, I apologize because you were separate from the 4 appointees. I think I'll connect with Sherry Dalton and have her send the information to you so that about swearing in and the ethics training. I'm not sure if it's different for the clergy appointee either. So I'll figure that out and I'll let you know. Sorry about that. Okay. So number 6, the MLK Day Planning. So every year in January, obviously on Martin Luther King Day, we do an event. We've been doing this event since the initial founding of the HRC, I believe. And what it consists of is we generally try to involve the students from the schools in contributing artwork. And obviously all of this is going to look different this year. I did speak with Steve Mayo and he said he apologizes. He feels like he's just repeatedly breaking people's hearts every day because more and more events are can't happen in person. And I think he couldn't rule it out completely, but I would say it's about a 99% chance that this is going to be completely virtual. And so, but what it's looked like in the past, at least, is that the schools are involved. The kids contribute artwork. We usually have some musical groups from the schools perform. We have a keynote speaker, and then we give out service awards to, oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
A business, a student, and a resident, right?
Right.
Or business / nonprofit like organization.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that is something. In terms of the awards, I don't see any reason why we couldn't still do that. What the rest of the event will look like, I think, is going to be we're going to be left to our own creative devices. But generally what we've done in the past is create a subcommittee for a smaller group to start working on the plans for that. And then they report back to the main group. We also like to put out a request to the community sooner. I mean, I think we should probably put it out next month. I would wait until probably mid-November to put out a request to the community for recommendations or nominations for the awards. So is there, I guess first, does anyone have any general comments or thoughts in terms of the event itself? And then I'll ask if there are volunteers for the subcommittee. Benny, go ahead.
So I'm going to express like maybe an unpopular viewpoint. I really don't know, which is that I personally would vote to not do the award ceremony.
Okay.
I will speak from like my own experience. I didn't find it to be as meaningful a part of the event as the other parts. And so I left the event being a little bit confused about like what was the goal of the award ceremony, like what did we achieve that goal? I don't know, it was like a weird, I also found it to be a process of like a little bit like pulling teeth trying to get the nominations for the awards. So it's like, why are we giving awards if really we just have to like kind of look around randomly and like find people that we know who might fit the categories. This is like, I think like an overly dramatic like portrayal of how that process is. It's not entirely like that, but there's like a little bit of a vibe of that, or that's how I experienced it. And so I went away from it feeling sort of confused about why we do that award ceremony, and either how could we improve it or should we do it at all? Because I thought some of the really powerful parts of the event were like the keynote speech and Christina's closing remarks and the musical pieces. Like there were things about it that seemed sort of more compelling and things that seemed sort of like, I don't know, not as compelling. That's my little rant about that. So I don't know how, if we want to go into the whole discussion of planning now, but I wanted to sort of say my piece about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did the lady that runs Mlk, she got an award last year, right?
She was the keynote speaker.
Yeah,
She was the keynote speaker. I thought she was really, I would have to, I don't know if I remember who got an award last year. I went, but yeah.
It was the food pantry.
Yeah.
I forget
the High School Gay Straight Alliance, I think.
Oh yeah.
No, she was like an organizer for like environmental. She was on the environmental sustainability committee or something. Jasmine.
Oh, Jasmine. Yeah.
And a woman who does like book drives for.
Oh, Liz Freeman.
Yeah. Liz Freeman. Yes.
Like part of me like really cringed a little bit at the fact that there was, in the award ceremony portion of it, there's like no real acknowledgement about like doing work around structural racism. It was just like doing good work, which is great. Like volunteerism is good, but to not acknowledge structural racism as like the focal point of this event in terms of those awards seemed very strange to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
So so two things just in response. I think the day's always been more of a theme of community service. And that's what, like, not an anti-racism event, and has been more of a community service, and the keynotes are kind of, you know, that's in the awards. And other towns, that's kind of how they do it. I do think I think it's likely going to be virtual. And so I think, you know, it's always an event that goes over 2 hours. And so virtual to cut back, I think the subcommittee can kind of think about that. And something that I've been pushing for the last 4 years is other towns used to do an outdoor service project that went along with it. And we've never done that. We kind of partner with the Boys and Girls Club and did something inside, but maybe COVID, I'm trying to find the silver lining with this pandemic, but maybe there is some sort of outdoor community service that families can participate in before the virtual event or after the virtual event, something to think about. Like Melrose does cleanups, Winchester does outdoor sort of stuff. So, and I'm happy to be on that subcommittee, but if others want to jump in, I think we can be a little bit more creative because it likely will be this virtual. So, you know, it's going to be a little harder to have the band, the orchestra, which is amazing, play, but maybe Maria gives us a solo concert this year.
With frozen fingers. It's January.
Very much an amateur cellist.
If we have any singers in the group, I am not.
Well, the high school did like that whole end of year performance all over Zoom, you know? So I think there's things we could do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's also a matter of limiting the awards, I'm open to that as well. One that I think we should keep is one of the awards was named after Bill Chetwynd, who is the had the original idea of starting the Human Rights Commission. And I'd have to check back at my notes at which award was named for him, and it was starting last year because he said.
I think all the awards were like the Bill Chetwynd, you know, Community Service Award for the student, or the Bill Chetwynd, I think. And then we did the award to his family in memory of him, which was separate. But I think we were just saying we're renaming all the awards that we're doing for Bill.
Okay. All right.
This is why we need an archives.
I know, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, just something I would like his memory to be part of the day in some way. It doesn't, you know, again, I'm open to suggestions about changing the awards and tweaking that, especially in light of the fact that it's going to be virtual, but yeah, it's something to keep in mind. Jeremy, did you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say two things. One, I'm willing to also be on that subcommittee. I'm not willing to take the chair lead on that subcommittee, but I'm definitely willing to be on it to get my feet wet. The second thing is we've had a bunch of virtual conferences for work, you know, because we used to all meet in the Heinz Convention and geek out and stuff and see all our collaborators, but we can't do that now. So some of the cool things they do there, instead of having the sort of reception, they've done like a virtual talent show or something like that. So that prevents you from having to have a group together for the orchestra, but maybe it would allow some of the students to still display their talents of some sort. So just something to keep in mind. But yeah, I definitely will help out with the subcommittee.
Great. All right. Thank you. If anybody, Jen, go ahead.
I just had one other suggestion before, well, I mean, we can form the subcommittee within ourselves, but you mentioned like reaching out to the community. At first I thought you were going to say one thing and then you're asking, reach out to the community for nominations. But I think we should also reach out to the community for volunteers to work on the subcommittee with us. That's
a great idea.
My ad.
Yep. Yep. Thank you. All right. If anyone, I'm happy to hear more comments or thoughts or ideas if anybody has them. But in terms of volunteers for the subcommittee, and I don't mean to put pressure on the longer serving volunteers, but if we could have one of you kind of chair the subcommittee, just having been part of the event before to help kind of steer it, that would be much appreciated. If you can't, then I'm happy to take that role on. But anyone who is interested in volunteering, please raise your hand or let us know.
I'm new, but I'm volunteering too.
I helped do it last year, so I'm happy to be on board for that again this year.
Okay. And Nicole, did I see your hand? Yep. Jeremy, you had said.
Do we have a max number for the subcommittee?
Yes. The max number, because we have 11 voting members, so we can't have more than 5. So right now we have 4, and I also I would like to see if either Kim or Faith are interested in volunteering as well.
Well, and did I see, Teresa, did I see your hand also?
Yeah, I was.
Yep, so far I have Teresa, Benny, Nicole, and Jeremy.
Oh, and Jen, I thought.
Oh, Jen, I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. If we have a max, I don't want to, I'd rather step back and help out on the side and be assigned things to do.
Okay. Well, why don't we do this? I'll reach out to Kim and Faith and see if either one of them would want to be on the subcommittee. And if neither one is interested, then
sure.
Then I'll put you in. Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I think that was everything. Does anyone have any other comments or questions about the MLK planning? Okay. So moving down in terms of the website and calendar. So this was something, Jen, I know you had asked me to add this to the agenda. One of the things that, that the chairs have done in the past, and just with the pandemic and everything like that, and a lot of our events not happening, we have not yet put together a calendar, but I am planning to put together a calendar, and in terms of getting more information up on our website so we can have more of a presence. I love the idea of doing that. And Jen, I'll see what other kind of, if you had other.
Yeah, so I think just from our social media, I feel like, you know, we have certain things we want to post and we have been, but then there's other days that sort of pop up that, you know, I was like, oh gosh, this is, you know, the like Spirit Day happened, which is where we want to stand in solidarity with LGBTQ folks, and we missed it because it wasn't on my radar, you know. So I think there's a calendar of our events and things that we're doing, whether they're virtual or not, or things. But I think in terms of our social media presence, it would be nice if we kind of had a calendar of, you know, there's all sorts of little minor days. I mean, there's probably a day for like every single food group or something, but, you know, when there are things that make sense for some of the things that we work on, like Pride things, or to other people's points, you know, Asian American Heritage Day or Black History Month, like typically for the bigger ones, we're mindful of it and we're like, okay, for Pride, we're going to do this, or for Indigenous Peoples Day, we're going to do this. But then there's a lot of little things that happen throughout the year that when we put together a calendar, it might be nice to like compare some sort of master holiday calendar, even if it's just like a little image or a little blurb like, hey, it's National Coming Out Day, woohoo, you know, or whatever that might be. I think we should be more proactive and post more regularly. So again, so that was my point on the calendar, not only of events, but just of other things we might want to recognize publicly within our social media. And then the website part was when Benny and we were talking about the videos for Indigenous Peoples Day that we put together and wondering whether they should go on our website. And we also had the Pride readings and things that we put up on our website. And so my thought, which was just sort of in the moment we were chatting, it was like, and it also kind of goes along with this archival question of what do we do with things, but you know, was it worth posting the 3 videos, like creating a separate subpage on the thing to say Indigenous Peoples Day 2020, here's links to 3 videos? Maybe not. But what if we had a page on our website that was, you know, Native American concerns or something like that, and then on that page we could have links to the Mass Indigenous Agenda and statements we've made, or other legislation that we want to point people to, or resources, and then we could have like children's book reading, you know, so there could be like different things on the page. So it would be really planning out what would we want on our website, what are sort of the main categories, and then where can some of the things go for that. And so like Mlk Day, we might have a whole page just for that, maybe, but maybe there's other sites, other things that would roll up under a broader category, rather than just having a whole page for Indigenous Peoples Day. There could be other things we'd want to post that sort of relate to that.
Right.
So anyway, that was my musings, and so I just wanted to kind of bring it up and start talking about it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I'm wondering if it ties into the larger conversation of, because like, for example, for MLK Day, talking about kind of what we're doing this year, but it would be great to say, if you wanted to see any of our previous presentations.
Right. Yeah.
So is this part of a broader conversation of just adding a ton more of our history to the website? Yeah, and I'm wondering if this is also something that makes sense to have a subcommittee talking about, or if we want to keep it in the general commission. What do people think?
I think we should have a subcommittee, because these discussions could go on forever and ever, and then the subcommittee can bring back suggestions to the main. And I think Kim should be on it because she is so tuned into social media. And I am thinking in terms of also, rather than having pages for a specific event, we have categories of interest. And that way, anything that relates to it, as Jen said, could be featured on that page.
Right.
And
like we have Indigenous or International Women's Day, rather than just have a page for International Women's Day, maybe we have a page for gender-ish, you know, something, and then that goes there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so I think that we have to think bigger. We have to think thematically rather than as individual events. And it's the kind of thing I would certainly be really interested in trying to put together some kind of framework like that. And like I said, I'd love to work with Kim on it because she really is tuned into that kind of thing. And of course, I always love working with Jen, you know. So.
And I would think for the website, we might want to bring in Jen McDonald too, to say like what's even possible.
Oh yeah.
With her on
I was going to suggest that. Yeah, Jen McDonald, for those of you that don't know her, she is, I'm not sure what her technical title is, if it's
communications manager.
Okay, yep, communications manager. So, and just in the few emails that I've had with her about when we were posting for the positions, she had a lot of incredibly creative, out of the box ideas of how to spread the word and everything. So I think she's excited, and yeah, she would be a great person to have on board with that.
Yeah, she can certainly tell us the parameters, the limitations. If she says to us, I can only add 6 more buckets to your pick, then we know that we have to come up with the 6 biggest buckets we can possibly think of.
Right, exactly.
I think a communications kind of subgroup's a great idea, Maria. And I also I'm encouraging you that you have 5 new members who joined. And I'm so curious, like, I want to have coffee with all of them and be like, why did you apply? You know, and like, how did you hear about us? And how have you heard about, like, what events have you attended? And what do you know, and I know Maria's had all these conversations, but I think that's because I think the underlying goal why we all do this meeting and why we're all brought to this group is like, we believe in the mission and we want more people in Wakefield to hear about it. Right. And so, you know, one of my funniest moments at these meetings was, I don't know, 3 months ago, where somebody, like a public participant, came in and she's like, it would be so great if you, this was so July, she's like, it would be so great if you guys flew a pride flag in Wakefield. And we're all sitting there and, you know, we worked really hard for 3 years to have that pride flag at the Civic Center for the whole month of June. And this resident had just never seen it. And she thought she was coming to us with this great idea. And I was like, have you not driven down Main Street at all for the whole month? And I think, you know, with George Floyd's murder, there was a lot of talk about, oh, we should talk about the Black Lives Matter movement. We should talk about white privilege. And we had 2 speakers 2 years ago. I mean, like, Wakefield had these opportunities, and I'm really proud of that fact. But I think we have an event or we have, you know, a book reading, and then it kind of disappears. And so how do we keep that dialogue? How do we get new people who maybe weren't here or didn't participate to get to see that? And, you know, we're all on our computers. I think website's great. I think, you know, big fan of social media, but if you guys have ideas about how we get those messages out, I mean, you guys have already had great ideas about the book reading and stuff, but just kind of, that's why we're focusing on communication. Cause I think sometimes things get lost in the ether, and we spend all this time like doing a big pride event and somebody in town had not driven by the Civic Center the whole month of June.
Right. And just thinking, kind of springing off of what you just said, it would have been such a great, I wish it had occurred to me, but in June, when in the immediate aftermath of the racial justice protests and George Floyd's murder, it would have been, if we had thought, you know, in the discussions that people wanted to have around Black Lives Matter, and to be able to pull up those videos and put them on our either Facebook page or our website. If I'm pretty sure those were recorded to say, you know, if you want to learn more about this movement, here's a speaker that we had 2 years ago, or something like that. That would have been a great thing to do. And that's not to say it's too late to do it either, but yeah, I like the idea of having a communications subcommittee if people are interested in doing that. All right.
And I would just add WCAT to that, because they record everything.
Right.
And so maybe talking to them about, you know, when they replay things for people who still watch cable TV. But I think there's other people who can help us kind of communicate that.
Yep. All right. So do we have volunteers for the communications subcommittee? Sherry?
I'm going to volunteer Kim, and she's not here, but that's, you know, if you're not in the room, you get volunteered.
I know, I'm rethinking asking Kim about being on the MLK subcommittee and just saying, we're going to volunteer you for the communications subcommittee.
Well, you know, the communications subcommittee will work with all committees. Right. So, yeah, but setting up that kind of master sort of a structure that can be passed along from term to term,
yeah,
I think would be very valuable.
Yep. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Good. I didn't want to leave anyone out. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to chair's comments. I've already talked about the central electronic storage, and I'll have updates as they come. MAHRC stands for the Mass Human Rights and Relations Coalition. And this is basically a coalition of certainly not every town has a human rights commission, and some towns don't have a town appointed human rights commission. It's basically, they have a nonprofit in town that has the same mission as the Human Rights Commission, but MAHRC is a coalition of all of either the nonprofits or the town appointed human rights coalitions. in Massachusetts. So they meet on the second Friday of every month. It's in the morning. I think it's at 9:30, but I can get the details about that. And in the past, we've had members that have tried to attend regularly. No one, I know it's during work hours, so there have definitely been periods of time where it just didn't work out for anyone from the group to attend it. But I will certainly send out, I still get notifications of how frequent or when they're meeting and what their agenda is. I actually just got an email this afternoon that they're having a special meeting based on talking about the election and the aftermath of the election. And I will forward that email to everyone in case anyone's interested in attending. It's going to be prior to the second Friday of November. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be, but I guess there was a robust discussion at their October meeting in talking about it, and they felt that it was necessary to have another meeting around it. So I will forward that email to everyone, but just something to keep in mind. If that's something that you'd be interested in doing, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know. And then if you do go to the meetings, then we would just ask that you report back to the commission about kind of the progress and things that are going on. So, okay, any matters not anticipated that anyone wanted to bring up? Colleen.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something that we were working on. I'm on the policy and communication subcommittee for the school committee, and the district usually collaborates with a volunteer group for Parent University, which is normally in the spring, and it's a live event. But because of the situation and because we feel parents in the community need support now, we have created a virtual Parent University. School committee generally isn't involved, but we're trying to expand our communication scope as well. And I just felt like it was really important for me to mention to you and ask that you promote one in particular. We have Raul Fernandez, who we actually had speak to our students in age appropriate levels, and then also to our staff and also our parents and caregivers in the community around implicit bias training. So he's giving, we have 3 keynote speakers. He's the third one on November 2nd at 7 o'clock. And he is the Associate Dean for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion at BU's Wheelock College of Education and Human Development. His talk is titled Blind Spot, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. These are open to anyone. We have Zoom license for webinar that go up to about, I think it's 300. I think that's what our license is for. So we are pushing it out to anyone in the community and beyond. So I just felt like with the work that the commission does, this might be something that would be nice to offer or just promote on your social media, website, whatnot. We do have 2 other keynote speakers who are speaking around compassion, specifically for adults, compassion for yourself, so that you can, you know, help others. And the other one is around social media and just really like taking in all of the ways that our kids are learning and then monitoring their social media use, given that they're on screens. But for this group, I feel like that would be something that you want to promote. And we have a website for Parent University. If you put in Parent University, it will come up, but you can also access it through the Wakefield Public Schools. There's a tab for it there. And then we also actually have on the 26th and 27th, we have, I think, gosh, 4, 8, about 16 workshops that are being done by in-district staff members that are sort of zoning in on like topics underneath those keynote speakers. So you'll see all of that when you go on the website, and, you know, just to tune into whatever you might feel is appropriate and promote whatever you feel is appropriate.
And I have gone to those events in the past in person for like since my son has been in school. So he's in 7th grade now, but and I love them. And I know a lot of the parents that I've known, they all enjoy them. So they're great.
Yeah, it's been an amazing addition to the district, and the parent university group that usually puts this together. I have to say, this is something that came up really quickly, and they just jumped on it. And they organize, you go on the website. They've done so much work in the last 2 weeks just to make this happen. And you know, I feel like this time is when we need to have support, and we were so bogged down with reopening that I didn't think it was going to happen. But these are the things that need to happen at this time. So really happy that it's actually going forth. And I think that we already have people signed up for our workshops. They just have to sign up so that they can receive a link. But the 3 keynote speakers will just be webinar format where you're just going to join. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think it's fantastic, and I agree we should promote it. I just want to make sure that we don't like oversaturate it so parents can't get in. I guess that would be my only concern.
Yeah, we talked about that, Jen, with our keynote speakers, because the other workshops you'd have to register for because we don't have the capacity, because our staff members have different licensure with the Zoom. But for the webinars, we feel like we can support, but you know, you never know. So you're right, we have to, you know, be a little bit careful. But you know, with Raul Fernandez, I listened in on to one of his presentations that my son, who's in 7th grade as well, Teresa, he joined in on that that talk, and it was much like, I don't want to say that I didn't have high expectations for it, but it exceeded my expectations, the way that he was able to converse with these students at their level for them to understand exactly what implicit bias is, you know. And I'm just so excited that he's able to join us again. So that's all.
Thank you.
Is there a write-up already on the website that we could just copy and post, or is there something you could send with like?
I have some, Jen, actually McDonald has done a lot of work for us. And so I have some, a file that I can share, and you could choose what's appropriate. And then that will direct you to the website. It will, some of them might highlight just the keynote speakers, which I think is probably most appropriate for you guys to promote. So I can send you the file. She said something about editing it, but I'll have to look into that. But if you'd like, I can send Maria, I could send it to you, and or you could just, there's a Facebook event created. So that's something that you could share as well, if that's easier.
Yeah, Jen and I can talk. Jen and I are kind of trade off posting on the Facebook page. So she and I, we can talk, and we'll figure out the best way to get it up there.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Benny, do you want to review the action list?
Yeah. Let's see. So what I have is I am going to reach out to the elementary school principals about the book, you know, donating the books to the schools, but also, I don't know what order we should do these in.
So I guess I had that question, because if we're doing it at a committee meeting, do we still want to reach out to the principals individually or directly?
Oh, right. Yeah, Colleen, what do you think?
I think you could still do that, because they'll have a process in each school. You know, it might be a different process with their media specialists, the way that I know, you know, Nicole and I were at the Greenwood, we actually dealt for many years with the authors and illustrators and donations. And, you know, it's every school has their own process. So I think the gifting part of it and you know, the school committee thing is really just recognizing the gift, right? And then each principal will have their own way of receiving them, and then, you know, So I think it's still appropriate you reach out to them individually.
Okay.
Okay. So then the other stuff I had related to that was that, Colleen, you were going to reach out to the, where did I write this note? Okay. The chair of the school committee, or to Doug Lyons, to see like what the most appropriate venue would be to do like a presentation of the donation. And Sherry was going to print up stickers to go inside the book covers that say, you know, gift of the Wakefield Human Rights Commission, or whatever you want it to say. What else did I have on here?
Just put the year on that.
Yeah.
Like on a sticker.
Maria was going to check in with Kim and Faith to see if they're interested in being on the MLK subcommittee, and also with Kim about being on the communication subcommittee.
Don't worry, I won't let her sign up for both. We don't want to overwhelm her.
Those were the only things I had on the action items. Were there other things that I missed?
Maria was going to reach back out to Quabbin Mediation.
Oh, to reserve the like.
And then Sherry and I need to, I mean, this is not like for the overall thing, but we'll need to meet with ourselves to make sure we've got the materials ready, but then we'll need to schedule an orientation meeting.
Yeah. All right. And I'll let the, I guess another thing for the action item is the chairs of the two subcommittees now can set up meetings, and then just post when you are going to be meeting. And so if members of the public want to be involved, and then in terms of the MLK, if we're asking for volunteers, maybe we should get that up on the Facebook page to reach out to, if people want to reach out to me, then I can put them in touch with Benny, or do you want me to have people contact you directly, Benny? What works best? If we're posting it on our webpage or on the Facebook page.
Seems like it's just one fewer step if you have them contact me directly.
Okay. All right, that sounds good.
Are you comfortable with having like your personal email?
I don't know. What'd you say?
I said you can say no. We can just have them use the WHRC email.
I never thought about that part. That's a good point.
Yeah. Why don't we do that?
Because if we put it on social media, you know, if we're like, hey, do you want to volunteer? Contact Benny at this email address.
And Benny, if you email me your actual home address, I'll mail those labels to you.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Did we assign a chair of the communications? Is that me by default? I don't.
It doesn't have to be you.
Because Sherry volunteered first too.
But you did both volunteer kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'll let you.
We'll work that out.
Okay.
Yeah, work it out.
We'll work that out.
All right. So I think that's everything, unless anybody has any last comments or anything. And if not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
And a second?
I second.
Okay. And we will take, just for the new members, when we're in person, we don't take a roll call vote, but because we're virtual, we have to do it that way. So Teresa?
Yes.
Okay. Myself, yes. Jen?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
I don't count yet.
Yeah.
That's,
You will count. I promise.
you count.
Benny?
Yes.
All right. Nicole?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
And Amy?
Yes.
All right. We are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone. We're only 11 minutes over.
Welcome new people.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Everybody.
Bye.